Congressional candidate for the Illinois 1st District, Jahmal Cole is a nationally recognized community activist and founder of My Block, My Hood, My City. As the CEO of one of the city's fastest growing social impact organizations, he created an exposure-based program for teens and a network of volunteer initiatives that service Chicago communities year-round. With a passion for youth mentorship, social justice, and community organizing, Jahmal Cole says his mission is to build a more interconnected 1st Congressional District of Illinois on the pillars of service and education. As part of our special 2022 primary and election coverage, the Chicago Defender spoke with Jahmal Cole about why he decided to run for the 1st District congressional seat and why he is ready to represent the district in Washington. This is Danielle Sanders. We are live at Sip and Savor in Hyde Park, and I am here with congressional candidate and the founder of My Block, My Hood, My City, Jahmal Cole. Thank you so much for joining and talking to the Chicago Defender.
Hey, thank you for having me. I'm honored, honestly. Salute to the Defender.
Well, let's get into it. What inspired you to go from, your organization as a community activist and say, it's time for me to take it to the next level and run for Congress?
Yeah, so around the time of the pandemic, we had 8,000 seniors reach out to my organization from 12 different states, and we were able to connect them to primary healthcare physicians, do contact tracing, do PPE, and then when businesses start closing down, we raised $1 million on our Instagram page, and it wasn't enough. And so I realized, I was like, hey, the problems in Chicago require bigger solutions. So I need to run for Congress so I can go get the resources to solve problems and be a partner for nonprofits. So it just hit me, like last month we had $250,000 to give away. 1,800 businesses applied for it. We could only support 50 businesses. That left 1,750 businesses without support. So that's not you can't nonprofit your way out of that. Like, I could pass out turkeys on Thanksgiving for the rest of my life, but people still gonna be hungry on the 28th, the 29th, the 30th. So that's not a nonprofit issue. We're filling the gaps for government, but we shouldn't exist. The government should really be doing that kind of work.
Now, a lot of people talk about the black agenda when people get into, these congressional seats. What do you think the top 3 issues facing black Americans, the most pressing black issues that are facing us right now?
Yeah, so the top issues right now are public safety. Public safety in the city. I think jobs, obviously, and I also do think just education. But so public safety in Chicago, we're losing 800 people a year to gun violence. The root cause of gun violence aren't really understood. If a plane goes down, they say, why did the plane go down? They look at the black box. They say it went down because of the engine or the electric. But when it's gun violence in Chicago, they don't say, why is it happening? They just say, the people just shooting each other. No, the way poverty and segregation contribute to gun violence is not understood. So my signature piece of legislation that I'm going to offer is the Root Cause of Gun Violence Act to address the conditions that cause gun violence, which are racial and economic injustice, high incarceration rates, high unemployment rates, poor neighborhoods, under-resourced schools. If you have those 5 conditions, the question isn't why is there so much gun violence, it's like why isn't there more, because those 5 conditions in anywhere leads to gun violence. So that's my number 1 issue is public safety. Of course, like I just told you, it's jobs. I'm all about federal job guarantees. If the federal government could offer you a job that paid $20 an hour in benefits to do something valuable for Hyde Park, what does Hyde Park need, and what are you willing to do that would give you dignity in doing it? I want to ask that question to as many teenagers as possible. If the federal government could offer you a job paying $15 an hour in benefits to do something valuable for Chatham or Inglewood or Roseland or New Lenox, what does your neighborhood need, and what are you? Oh, you know what, Jahmal? It could be some shelters for the homeless people. It's a lot of homeless people under the bridges. Oh, that's an excellent idea. Oh, we can clean up some parks. What an excellent idea. Oh, we can do some solar paneling in our homes. Excellent idea. So the federal government we have the ability to put people to work. So I care about that. And then again, just education, giving kids access to opportunities. My nonprofit, I work with 150 students a month, and a lot of these kids they're disconnected from opportunities, and it's not their fault. The federal government has purposely invested in certain communities and didn't invest in other communities, so the kids are dealing with that. If there's 15 currency exchanges and no banks in your neighborhood, if I ask a kid what's a job at a bank, they don't know because they've never been exposed to that. So I think exposure is key, matching the skills kids have with what colleges offer, and exposing them to different cultures, professions, conventions and cuisine. So those are my top 3 issues that I'm very passionate about. Yeah.
As I said, I'm glad you actually hit on one of them, public safety, because that's been our number one when we've surveyed our viewers. That was their number one concern this election, and specifically addressing the root causes. Now, I want to play devil's advocate here and say, there are people that say, this young man is passionate about ending violence and working with young people, but can he actually be effective in Congress when it comes to issues on the economy and foreign policy? What would you tell those people?
I would say that I propose that we have to think about the word experience differently. Having experience in some type of government doesn't make you a better candidate to represent the 1st District of Illinois. Having experience in government doesn't mean that you talk to residents and businesses and encourage them to please stay in Chicago, don't leave it. Like, experience in government doesn't mean that you've worked with block clubs and community groups to make sure they're taking care of seniors on a block. Having experience in government doesn't mean you've worked with youth and help show them better so they can do better. Like we have to stop thinking that you have to have the right type of experience. So I have the right type of experience as opposed to just knocking off marks on a resume. But as far as when it comes to asking me, like, what are we talking about? Economics. I mean, our economic situation right now it needs to change. I mean, look, I just told you I started a small business relief fund. I give out $1 million a year to businesses in Chicago, and I see directly the impact that has. We need more than that, though. I need more, because I feel like exploited workers are paid stagnant wages that haven't even kept pace with the cost of living. Meanwhile, the rich keep on getting richer. I think we need to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. But not only that, right? And not only that, we need education to go along with it, because if you go from $12 an hour to $15 an hour, but you're still cashing your check at the currency exchange, we got a rich dad, poor dad our way out of that. Like, I can't tell you how many just the currency exchange is charging you so much on your money, like 3%. It's ridiculous. Like, so I can there's going to be other candidates that have more experience in business, experience in finance, experience in government. That's they don't have, like, the difference between me is that it's my energy, my curiosity. I'm gonna wake up at 4 in the morning. I'm gonna be the person going to get coffee for the senior congressional people in the morning. I'm gonna be there working hard for the people. That's all I do is show up now, and I have a track record of, don't believe in what I say in this interview. Really think about what I've done over the last 10 years in Chicago. It's not my drive is just different. So that's kind of and most people don't know what a congressman does anyway. I would say that too. Nobody knows what their alderman does, let alone what a congressman does. So it's going to be one of those positions where you have to your personal experience is going to have to drive what policies you advocate for. And mine are gun violence. I've been shot 3 times in this last year. I've been shot once and got shot 3 times. Shot at 3 times. And so when I got shot not too far from here, when I woke up in the ambulance, they said, "Oh, don't jog that way anymore." If I lived out of the 1st District, would they have said that? No, they wouldn't have said that. And then they let me out. I didn't have I could afford a therapist, but most people, can't. The kids had to go back. Yeah, the kids got to go back to school like nothing happened. So I care about public safety. My kids got to walk down the street, so I care about that.
The other thing that I think that has kind of contributed to voter apathy is that they see people that they elect go to Congress, go to Washington, and they get so concerned with working across the aisle that they don't fight. And what we're seeing now is that Republicans are united in tearing down every single civil liberties that they can. And we're still trying to work together. What would you say to voters? Will you be a congressman that actually digs your heels in the sand to fight for the rights and the protection of our rights in a time where the GOP is really fighting to erase them?
Yeah, I mean, I would, if I'm gonna put my money on any fighter, I'm gonna base it upon what they've done before. And by the way, I was the first candidate to enter this race. I was the first candidate to announce. And the reason why that means a lot is because I did it when it was uncomfortable and inconvenient, and when Congressman Rush was in the race. The majority of the people that entered this race entered after he stepped out. They saw it as an opportunity or a career move. The reason why that's important is because you got to be willing to stand up and fight for the people when it's inconvenient and when it's uncomfortable and when it's tough. You don't just jump into a race, jump out the Uber with 2 months to go in a race and say, "Hey, I'm here." That's indicative of how people are going to lead when they're there. So I think that's I'm going to put my money on a fighter that's training harder for the last 10 years, a fighter that actually has a history of doing more than expected, a fighter that has a history of being in the ring. You can't just show up 2 months before an election and say, I'm going to go fight for the people. No, because you did not do that for the last 10 years. Let's look at what you did. And so I think that we have to change the way we, it's not an indictment on any of the candidates, but we have to change the way we view elections in Chicago. The people that have the most money and the people that they say are front runners, that doesn't translate into good leadership all the time. You know, you got yard signs and everything like that. You got window decals. You showed up with 2 months to go, but it doesn't mean that you're the best qualified candidate for the race. So.
Okay, and lastly, what makes you the best choice for the 1st Congressional District? What would you like Chicago Defender readers to know about you and your candidacy?
Yeah, so again, like I would say that I was the first person into the race. I wasn't waiting for a baton to get passed. You know what I mean? So a lot of people see it, like I said, as a career move. This was the next way I saw to show up for people, right? All I've done in my whole career is show up. In 2009, I showed up at Cook County Jail as a volunteer. I was writing rap lyrics with the young men as a form of therapy. In 2013, I started My Block, My Hood, My City. It's one of the most impactful nonprofit organizations in the state. Literally, we take teenagers from the lowest performing schools on educational field trips, and we prove to them the world doesn't end at the corner of your block. Let me show you better so you can do better. I showed up throughout the pandemic. Again, 8,000 seniors reached out to my work. 8,000 seniors reached out. I was able to connect them to primary healthcare physicians, do contact tracing, ship PPE. I showed up for small businesses. When they were closing down, I raised $1 million in one day on my Instagram page and gave that money out to hundreds of businesses. I'm doing it again this year. I show up every winter for seniors. That's me with a hoodie on, with a shovel in Chatham and Inglewood and Rose and stuff. That's me. I show up and shovel sidewalks so seniors can get out of their homes. I show up every summer and deliver air filters, deliver water, deliver fans to seniors. This is me. So I've done all this showing up without ever running for office. But now, I'm telling you, now I see being in Congress is the way to scale up and help more people. So I would say that we can't just I can't nonprofit my way out of it. We need help. We want to be around, but we need help. And so we need a partner in the federal government that can help nonprofits. But again, I will tell people, don't believe what anybody says. Believe in what they've done. I've done all this showing up without ever running for an office, without ever doing it. Imagine what it's going to be like with somebody like me in that chair. I'm going to show up and make sure the government shows up too. That's what I want people to know. Show up. That's what it's about to me.
Everybody, this is Jahmal Cole, congressional candidate for the 1st District. Thank you so much for talking to the Chicago Defender.
It's an honor. Like y'all legendary, and y'all legendary. I mean, I'm the Bud Billiken parade, obviously. Robert Abbott, definitely Abbott Park. Just y'all legendary. So it's an honor to be in the newspaper. It's an honor to be on y'all media platform. And thank you. You're making my dreams come true. I feel blessed right now. Thank you.
This is Danielle Sanders, the Chicago Defender. The Illinois primary is June 28th, 2022, with the general election happening on November 8th, 2022. The Chicago Defender encourages all readers to register and vote in the primary and general elections this year. For more on congressional candidate Jahmal Cole, visit his website at www.cole2022.com. This is Danielle Sanders reporting for the Chicago Defender.